And so I spend my day, every day. These days I say I don't save marriages. I save individuals so that they can save their marriage.
Oh.
Yes.
One-on-one.
No, even with couples.
Okay.
I am going to be helping you understand yourself, understand your partner, so that together you can create the marriage you want.
Okay.
Because marriage is created by our actions, the choices that we make every day. And that is why it's important for us today to talk about boundaries in marriage or etiquette in marriage.
Etiquette. I can't wait to hear.
Individuals understand that the marriage that you desire, it's not out there.
Aiko?
Hapana, iko kwako. Iko na wewe.
Okay.
What you do. And so two people who decide that they want to live together, they need to understand how to do that living together, create the kind of life they want. And so when we think about the definition of a boundary, it's a fence.
Okay.
It separates one property from another. You see? So like this room that we are in, it has boundaries. Some of them are walls, but there is one that is very important. It's called a door. And so boundaries in marriage are not walls. They are usually doors, especially from one partner to the other. Because we cannot create walls in marriage, but we can create doors. Limits. You cannot go beyond here. When the Bible says that, and the two became one, it's not fusing together. It is actually walking in integrity and walking in wisdom with one another, with a lot of acceptance, kindness, compassion, as well as empathy. And other things like equity. Do unto others as you would have others to do unto you. The golden rule. And also honor, where you honor and respect the person that you married. And when we talk about honoring and respecting, is where you ask yourself, if I am saying I do not want XYZ to happen, or I want this and that to happen, am I myself providing that? We call it equity. And do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So let's today I just want to talk about there are many boundaries, but I want to talk about two boundaries, and one of them is emotional, and we can also touch a bit on communication.
Okay.
Yeah, so emotional boundaries, we need to ask that. We've been talking about that for a bit, but we never called it a boundary. So emotional boundaries are where my partner and I create a space where I can speak myself and I can be heard, I can be seen, and I can be valued. So my opinions, my feelings, my expressions are not dismissed. They are not looked down upon, but my partner is willing to listen. Okay, so that is an emotional safe space. Can I feel that my partner sees me, values what I think about, how I think about it? We don't have to agree. We can have differing opinions, but the way we handle the difference is what now we are calling emotional safety. A space where I can be able to be different from you in my way of thinking, in my way of conceptualizing things and perceptions, without being told that I am stupid or without being made to feel like I am less than. You see? And also myself, I am also not lording it over. You know, contempt, looking down on someone. That I create, I am also doing my part to make sure my partner does not feel that I am expressing myself in a way, it's like I'm better than them. So we want to make sure there is no envy and there is no jealousy in the relationship. And that is why I'm saying that kuna tabia zingine si mzuri kwa relationship. We need to have etiquette. If your partner is excelling, envy is okay. You know, envy si unajua ni ile kuangalia mtu unaona amefanya vizuri.
Human nature.
Yes, you wish that you could also do that. But jealousy is when you see somebody is excelling and you act and do things to show that they are not supposed to be. You have that jealousy. You wish them bad, you see. So we need to take that away from our relationships. It's not good etiquette for a relationship. Now, let me talk a little bit about boundaries in terms of emotional boundaries. There are things, Chris, in our marriages that are not good, and we call them triangulations. When you bring in a third party into your intimate relationship, it will always backfire on you. Now, what is an emotional boundary? Couples need to talk about how they express and to who they express what is going on in their marriage. Who do you triangulate? There are people who are getting into emotional entanglements with people of the opposite sex, and they are talking to them about their marriage.
Okay.
And that one is a no-no. Hiyo ni tabia mbaya. Kwa sababu it is not going to augur well with your relationship. Your partner is going to feel estranged from you the moment they realize you are opening up your heart and telling somebody else about your relationship. Now, for you need to ask yourself, why am I talking to another person about my relationship instead of talking it with my partner, who together we can be able to create a solution? You see? So jiulize, ask yourself, what is it that causes you to seek the comfort, the consolation of another person of the opposite sex when the issue is about your relationship? You see? So that is number one. Number two, a couple that want to succeed and to have a relationship that is mutually satisfying, you need to be open to listen to your partner when they need emotional support, so that you can create safety within your marriage where your person is not being attracted to another person who is willing to listen. So because these things I hear, that I had no intentions of being in that space with that other person, it just happened. You see? And we need to create boundaries within our relationships where we understand that emotional cheating is real. And it's where you are speaking to a person of the opposite sex. There are times when I have my clients who are dealing with infidelity, and I ask the question, how come you did not look for another man or another woman instead of the person of the opposite sex? Because when you start to open up your life to a person of the opposite sex, and you begin to feel comfortable in that expression of your vulnerabilities, what is going to happen over time, you are going to shut down in your relationship, and your partner is going to experience the distance. So your attachment to another person is going to replace the attachment you could be growing with your partner. You see? Now, I know there are many things that people say, but my partner doesn't listen. When I speak to them, they start to fix things for me, and I just want somebody to listen. We can learn. These are skills of empathetic listening. Empathetic listening is walking in the shoes of another. If your partner is, anytime you come and say, there is this thing going on at work, I'm feeling stressed about it, and your partner dismisses that by saying, si uache hiyo kazi.
Oh.
You see?
Okay.
You see?
He doesn't want to hear.
Yes, if the person just goes into siwache hiyo kazi, you are going to feel dismissed. Because you wanted to talk through it. You wanted to it's almost like I wanted to complain. I just wanted to release all this tension. So what is going to happen is that now your partner, because you are not willing to listen, your partner is going to talk to the sister, going to talk to somebody else. And then what I have noticed is that now the partner who is unable to listen will start to be suspicious about these long phone calls that the spouse is having with a family member, for instance, or the phone calls that they are having with somebody from work of the opposite sex, you see. So now what happens in that relationship, people begin to feel unsafe, you see. So the insecurity comes in. How come you're not talking to me? But the person who is unable to hold space for their partner because they feel a lot of anxiety, they need to kind of say to themselves, what can I do to be able to be a safe place for my partner to listen to me? To talk to me, you see. So one of the things that you can do, if you are the firstborn who every time somebody talks about a problem, you're looking for a solution, or you are a choleric, you are constantly looking for how to fix something, or you are a melancholic who is wanting to dig deeper, and so the other person is thinking, why are you interrogating me? You see, if you are that kind of a person, you want to listen. This is one thing that you can do in creating emotional boundaries, so that your partner does not feel closed off from you. Number one, ask. I see that you want us to talk about this situation at work, the situation with your mother, the situation with whatever is going on. You ask, in this conversation right now, what do you need from me? Do you need me to listen, or do you need me to help you find a solution? See, unaona Chris, hiyo ni skill.
Ina make sense.
Unaona ni skill.
No,
that is not something that we are born with.
You can imagine if somebody tells you that you're even spoiled for choices.
Yes. You see, because we open a space, an emotional space to speak. Now, you who has said, yes, I can listen to you. You just want to vent. That's okay. I am here to listen. Don't get on the phone. Because, our phones have become one of the things it's almost like our heartbeat.
Tuko na tabia mbaya sana.
Sasa hiyo ni tabia ingine mbaya. Don't, when your partner is vulnerable to you, pay attention. And one of the ways we can pay attention in creating this emotional safety and emotional boundaries within our marriages is to be able to do what we call active listening. Tell me more. You don't have to say, tell me more, but there are things we do. Like right now, Chris, you are looking at me, so you are giving me eye contact. You are also saying, you say, that is engagement.
Sure.
That engagement, sometimes we talk and then we say, you know what I mean? You see what I'm saying?
You understand?
Do you get me? You see, those are ways that as the person is speaking, they are checking to see whether you are attending to them. And this is what can really help us to protect our relationships from emotional infidelity, where now I am able to say to my partner that, please, I am here to listen to you. And then you who is venting, know your person, so that you don't overwhelm them with all this emotional, what we might call emotional diarrhea, So let's not do the emotional, what we call overwhelm to the other person. So allow yourself also to watch and know your partner. So if you are, let's say you are a melancholic who really wants to offload, because melancholics, they overthink a lot, and so they need that time to offload. If you are that, try to do that by yourself first.
Okay.
What is bothering me? What is it about work that is bothering me? Now, once I do that, when I come to my partner, I am coming when I have nimetoa ile edge. You see, I'm not flooded. I have reduced the flooding, the emotional flooding, and now I can be able to talk with my choleric partner who has a problem with that emotional overwhelm. If they feel overwhelmed with the way that you are expressing yourself, what they do, they start to bring solutions, so that you can stop overwhelming them. You see what I'm saying? So understanding each other is also very important. And even the choleric, instead of shutting somebody down using contempt, sasa hiyo ni kitu kidogo na unaifanya ikue kubwa, that is contempt. You see? And also, instead of shutting people down by dismissing their concern or creating solutions when they really want to offload, what you as a choleric can also do is to communicate your feelings of overwhelm. You see? You can be able to say, I am really willing for us to talk through what you're going through, but I would also want us to create a solution somewhere, maybe not today, but at least we can look at how can we solve this, because I have noticed and I feel for you that you keep repeating the same thing, and I can see how much it's causing you distress. You see what I'm saying? So we are actually connecting, because now the choleric is also using their gifts or their abilities to create solution by saying, I'm here and I'm open, we can talk through your problem, I can listen to you, but I would also like you to give me an opportunity for us to brainstorm what we can do. You see, if couples do that, they will create a boundary around their emotional health, where they will not have to deal with hiyo tabia mbaya ya ku triangulate a person of the opposite sex kwa sababu wanasikiza. You see? So allow yourself, how do you know that you are at risk for emotional cheating or lack of boundaries emotionally? Is when, number one, you look forward to talking to the person. You know that party, hiyo third party umeingiza kwa relationship yenu. So you feel that even though you and your wife, you and your husband are not connecting, and you can feel the disconnect, you keep looking forward to talking to that other person. Now, there is this thing that people do. So you are married, but then you are talking to a single girl in your office. And this single girl knows that you are married and you have a wife and kids. But you guys normalize it because you already know you are married. You see? Just to know that is not safe.
Okay.
Because now, what about the boundaries of the marriage? You as a married man, what are you doing when you are engaging a single girl from your office to be telling you, no, don't worry, it's gonna be okay. And you here you are, hey, leo mama watoto amenifanyia. You see, you are looking forward to going to the office to talk to her. You look forward to those conversations. You see, if you are finding yourself doing that, if you find yourself at the end of the day, you just want to send them a message, good night, then you want to be careful, because you are creating a third party in your relationship, and it's going to backfire on you. I was reading somewhere where somebody says that this was something that was posted in a group. And there was a guy who said he used to take this lady, they were working together. Every day they would go for lunch. Every day. Innocent lunch. Then eventually the lady akamuuliza ati kama anaweza kumdonate. She was a single lady. Amdonatie apate mtoto. So the guy thought it doesn't, because there is no romantic
relationship.
Yeah, that he is going to be the good guy and donate for this lady to have a baby. And according to the write-up, she got twins. And then after that, she was done. No talk, no lunches anymore. She just shut the guy down. So the guy was complaining. was saying, why did she cut me off after that? You see, so what happened to this guy? He didn't protect his relationship from this emotional connection. When proximity is an issue that we talk about in relationships. If you are in proximity with another person for too long, you're going to develop what we call an attachment, an emotional attachment. And that is devastating to your relationship, you see, especially if this person is of the opposite sex, but you feel safer with them emotionally than you feel safe with your spouse. You see, that is a space where disaster can grow. Unajua nasemanga, ule msichana alikuwa anaitwa Eve na Adam, our first parents. The reason why Eve ended up in a bad situation with the devil is because she stayed there too long.
Oh, staying there too long.
Yes, and she continued to converse with the devil and to do these excuses and to allow herself to be pulled in to the lies of this devil. You see, so we need to understand that as married people, one of the boundaries we must intentionally create is emotional connection with our spouse. You see, and if we are having difficulties connecting emotionally because of the way we are wired differently, then let's look for help. You see, any other way is going to break your relationship. Like I said, your marriage will be as good as your choices. So if I am feeling emotionally disconnected from my partner and I go find somebody else to emotionally connect with, then that is going to create trouble in my relationship. Okay. Now, people who are sanguines, and sanguines, I want you to listen to me. If you are the kind of person who tends to hug everybody and the hug stays a little bit longer,
Allah.
Hiyo ni kitu unatakikana uweke boundary.
Tena.
You as a sanguine, especially if your partner says, I'm not comfortable with the way that you linger into those hugs. You see, your relationship is going, as long as one of you is not okay about certain choices, personal choices that we make, then translate that to mean your marriage is not okay with it. So that the two of you can brainstorm the culture of your marriage.
Okay.
The boundaries that the marriage is asking for, because the marriage is a combination of two people. It is not the one person and the other one is following. It doesn't, that one is not going to have longevity. When the word of God says, and the two cleaved together, cleaving with another person is painful. It's work. And it is that consistent dance where we step on each other's toe until we learn how to do that salsa perfectly. You see, we don't look for another partner because of that. We perfect, or we practice more, or we create excellence within our partnership. You see, yeah.
There's something that somebody's asking at if you've ever noticed people hugging in colleges.
Yes.
They meet as friends and you find them hugging all round. And that is where they got the habit from. So they took it into their marriage. So when you're married to someone, then the friends have been introduced to you. So when they're coming to visit or you meet them, so you just exchange hugs.
And now that is a conversation that the two married people need to have. Not a conversation of stop doing that. No, understand. So if you can be able, last time I think I talked about, if you can be able to understand how your partner is wired, plus their life experience. Now, I remember when I was growing up, our home, we didn't hug a lot.
Yeah.
We didn't actually hug at all.
hata mimi kwetu
Si ndio?
hiyo ni mambo ya wazungu.
Then I came to Nairobi and I lived with relatives, and in their home they didn't hug, but they pecked the kiss on the cheek.
Okay.
And they used to do that either once or twice, you see. So that was a new thing for me. So whenever, my cousins would come, they would come, hey, hi, Wajiro, and then they would peck you on the side.
Getting shocked.
You see, and I'm thinking, okay. So then I had to adapt to that. Then I joined a church. And in this church, people hugged quite a bit because the church was started by American missionaries. And our local pastor had been exposed to the American culture because that's where he studied. So in our church, we used to hug. I had to learn that as well, you see.
Was it easy?
And then, no, it wasn't. And then eventually it felt comfortable.
Okay.
Because I realized, and now as a psychologist, I know physical touch is very healing for humans. And I remember when I was in school, we had a class where we talked about some kids in an orphanage where actually in Russia, Russia is cold.
Very cold.
And these children in this orphanage, nobody touched them. Then there were 2 missionaries that came from the US. And they started touching the children, and the children just thrived, you see. And we know that physical touch is very healing. Now, what we want to do is to make sure that in our marriages, the physical touch that is a healing component of human experience does not become the problem in our relationship. So you who is a sanguine, usually the sanguines are the ones who continue on with this because they are fili-touchy kind of people. Allow yourself to create boundaries as you listen to your partner who is saying, I wouldn't do that. It makes me uncomfortable. So look at yourself. Get that feedback and allow yourself to look at yourself and say, let me look at this. Because what happens, Chris, is that this person who is complaining that the other is becoming very cozy with these hugs with other people, later on in their when you get to the 10th year of your marriage, there is a lot of boredom because people are not kuchangamkiana because they are busy taking care of the kids. So what happens is that now this individual with low boundaries when it comes to this physical touch with the people of the opposite sex, finally you find them in a cheating situation.
Okay.
Because we need to understand, whenever we touch a person and that touch lingers on, there are chemicals that are being triggered in the brain. And these chemicals, because we need to understand, when you are in college and you used to hug like that, jiulize hizo hugs zilikuwa zinaenda wapi? People making out, you see, even if you are not dating, but munakunywa, munafanya all these 20-something explorations, and then where do you end? So your body became accustomed to the fact that when I hug someone, there are some chemicals that are including dopamine and other endorphins and all that, and then usually inaniachanga ninataka kuenda more, you see. So it's important that that when your partner is saying, I am not feeling comfortable with this, that you check yourself. Don't go into the blame shifting and all that. Especially I hear people who are saying, oh, but you are so sensitive, you are insecure. No, let's not do that.
There's nothing.
Yeah, let's do the other way. You know the other way of holding space and saying, because I love you, I really want us to be happy. And if this doesn't make you happy, then can we talk about how we can create a safe space for each other. So tuache kufanya hii kitu ya nini parenting. You need to stop that. No, why do you want me to stop? You see, so we can really help each other if we are more attuned to the emotional space of the other person. Now, let me also say this: if you find yourself as a married person that going home is difficult for you, every time you think, oh my goodness, it's 4 p.m. ndo tutatoka kazi and I have to go home.
Unaendesha gari polepole utaki kufika.
Ama unapitia mahali kwingine. If you are in a space where you are feeling that way, please communicate. Learn how to express what you are feeling. And I usually say communication, usually the reason why we don't communicate openly is because we are not feeling safe to communicate. So next week we will talk more about safe communication, but we want to be able to remove the obstacle by saying, I have been wanting to say XYZ to you, but I am usually feeling afraid that you will not hear me. You see?
Okay.
If we can be able to tell our partner, instead of labeling them and telling them, wewe unisikizangi, hata wewe uwezi kaa chini mtu aongee kitu. So why should I talk to you? Tusifanye hiyo, tuanze kusema, you see, there is something I need to tell you. But my fear is that you will not be able to listen to me.
Okay.
Because in the past, when I have tried to speak, you have interrupted me and you have not given me space to finish my thought. You see? So if we are able to communicate vulnerably like that, and the other person has the ability to say, I am so sorry that my way of relating with you has made you feel unsafe to talk to me, then we are going to create a safe place. You see? The other day, someone was saying that, you know how we live with people and we create perceptions about them. Sasa ninaweza kukuja hapa vile nakujanga niseme, Chris anakuaga. Bram anakuaga. You see? So I create a perception of who you are and I stay rigid in that. Instead of me being flexible to be curious about why you are like that.
Sure.
But you see, I'm experiencing you, but I'm not telling you what I'm experiencing. Therefore, I go off and I make an assumption, and therefore I am not going to communicate to you because I have already decided that you were hausikizangi watu. You see? So what I want to do is to be able to create a space where I give that feedback to my partner. And then we say, what are we going to do so that we can mitigate that? But also there is the observation that I have spoken about before, where I have said, why don't you ask your partner, I have noticed that whenever I say, you act this way, and I'm wondering what makes you act that way. Hiyo inaitwa curiosity, which is the difference, or the other way, instead of criticizing. Wewe hausikiangi, wakati ninakuongelesha unakuanga tu kwa simu. You see, I can be able to say, I have noticed and I'm wondering why that happens. You see, that is emotion. That is also a conversation that is going to lead to an emotional boundary, where we say, whenever we are talking to each other, no looking at the phone. Because when we look at the phone, then I begin to feel that you're not listening. Alafu muulize mwenzako, by the way, me when you are talking to me and I look at the phone, how do you normally feel? You see? So we create a space where we can have agreement. So that we don't do the perpetrator victim thing. Wewe ndio uko na shida na huyu mwingine akiambiwa, when I talk to you, you get on the phone, it's very disrespectful to me. Anasema, okay, I'm sorry, I will try. No, don't go there. Allow yourself to be able to say, to ask your partner, what happens in your mind? What happens in your brain when I start to say these things, and then you have to escape through the phone, you see? Now, I want to encourage people to join my class about the nervous system. Tulisema, hizi tabia mbaya, they are strategies of survival.
Oh, ziko?
Sini survival tu. Sasa wakati ninaongea na mwenzangu alafu anaangalia kwa simu, it's not because they don't want to listen to me. It's because they are feeling anxious.
Okay.
And when we feel anxious, we go into survival mode. You see, so some of these strategies of emotional, where we look for other people to connect emotionally with, is because that's a strategy to meet a need I have for connection, but I'm not getting it at home. No. So being able to understand your nervous system is very important. So there is a class I'm doing on Saturdays, and it is called Restoring Our Nervous System. We understand that when certain behaviors we have in our marriages, they are strategies of survival. So if I am a phlegmatic and I don't like conflict, the moment my choleric husband comes home and anaanza kelele, me, I am going to shut down. You see? Why? Because I'm not feeling safe. And I don't want us to go into a full-blown conflict. So what am I going to do? I create a strategy. And the strategy is to shut down. You see? So that tusiendelee kuongea sana. Lakini kama sisi ni watu choleric wawili, sasa tutatengeneza vita. It will be sparks. You see? Because both of us are not feeling safe. And therefore we are creating strategies to be able to create some safety. But this safety that we are creating is not safety. It is a lot of chaos. And so the class helps us to understand how do I manage my nervous system iache kuniharibia maisha. You see? Because those are the ego. We call them ego responses.
Okay. Give them your number.
Yes, 07 97 490 404. 07 97 490 404. You can WhatsApp that number, and you will be given directions on how to connect with the class.
Okay.
One more thing, and before we end.
Okay.
April, end of April, I'm doing another retreat.
Okay.
It's some sort of 3-hour meetup. We are going about rekindling the flame in your marriage. So I want to encourage people to also write to us. If you are interested, write to us so that we can give you the information on how to register for that. Okay. It will be from 9 to 12, and we will just do a short boot camp on how to reignite the flame in your marriage. And some of these things that I talk about here, we are going to be focusing on that, so that you can create the kind of marriage you want. Please, people, understand, your marriage, nobody can come out from anywhere to fix it. It is you, but you don't have the skills. Come, let's learn how to fix that.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Grace, for your time.
You are welcome.
Always a pleasure. And all the best in your endeavors.
Thank you.
Stand by for the news coming up in a short while, and then we enter into a short interlude.